you so much for the kind introduction. I'm Jasmin, I'm from LMU Munich, and today I'm going to talk about how to support meaningful personal fitness, the tracker goal evolution model. I did this work together with Paweı Wozniak. He is sitting right there from the University of Stuttgart. Yeah, so let's go, if I can find my cursor somewhere. 1 second, technical issues at Kai. There we go. Yeah, now it works. So what are we going to talk about today? I will start with a brief intro about the motivation behind our work. Then I will talk about the tracker goal evolution model, what it is, where it is coming from, and how can we actually use it. And then I will end the talk with a brief summary. So trackers don't work, at least not in the way we want them to work or in the way they are supposed to work. They make a promise they can't really keep. Studies found that users abandon their trackers after some time and that there are no long-term health or well-being benefits. However, the number of people using fitness trackers is constantly increasing. So therefore, there is a need to readdress how trackers engage their users. Recent work in HCI focused on issues like adherence, competition, lapses, and in all these topics, goals are a recurrent theme. So we think there is still a need to explore goal-setting practices in more depth, to explore how fitness tracker users set their goals, how their goals evolve, how they manage their goals, and look more into that. So we know all these things. We know about lapses, we know about the evolution of goals more or less in a lot of depth, and we have this overview of these things, this holistic description of it, in the lived informatics model of personal informatics by Epstein and colleagues. And with our model, we strive to be a subordinate to this model. So we have different stages in the model of Epstein and friends, and we focus solely on tracking and acting. So we look deeper into the motivations to track, and we strive to analyze it through hedonic and eudaimonic well-being. What do we mean with that? So when we look at well-being concepts, we have hedonic and eudaimonic well-being, and these two are not mutually exclusive. They are complementary psychological functions. And the main focus in well-being research is on hedonic theories, so in short, the presence of positive effect and the absence of negative effect. So things like fun, joy, pleasure, but scholars also started recently to recognize the potential of eudaimonic well-being and to study to gain deeper insights into understanding user behaviors. When it comes to eudaimonia, it's more about living a fulfilled life, striving to fulfill one's own potential. Things come to mind like autonomy, relevance, value. But as I already said, these two are complementary. So they can both be existent in the same situation. Yeah, so if this is what people strive for, hedonic and eudaimonic well-being, we asked ourselves, how is that reflected in their goals? So we phrased the research questions, how do users adapt and plan their goals, and how do their goals relate to their data collection practices? We tried to tackle this challenge through semi-structured interviews and an online survey. The interviews we conducted with 18 participants, 9 of them were male, 9 of them were female, and they were all active tracker users. And we asked them things like their daily usage with their tracker, about their goal-setting practices, if they have a history of lapses, and how do they reflect on the data they are gathering with their physical activity tracker. Based on our findings, we also conducted an online survey with 162 participants and looked into their tracker goal practices as well. So we asked things like, do you have a goal set in your tracker? What kind of goal do you have set in your tracker? We inquired them about their history of changing goals. And yeah, based on these findings, we derived the tracker goal evolution model, which you can see here. So the model focuses on how tracker goals evolve. It goes from an abstract level on the left side to a concrete level on the right side. So we start out with hedonic and eudaimonic needs, so internalized needs of the user. These are ideally manifested through qualitative goals in the middle, and then translated on to the quantitative goals, so they should be translated to concrete values in their tracker. And this is supported, again, ideally supported by contextual factors, namely trust and reflection. So with this model, we aim to make sure that user goals, when it comes to physical activity tracking, can evolve effectively in order to lead to higher engagement. Let's look at this in a bit more detail. So on the abstract side of the model, we have internalized needs of users. And here it gets a bit tricky because these needs are often not explicitly verbalized. And of course, they vary between users. They form the core of motivation and the anticipated benefits from tracking. So users primarily evolve on this level, and the evolution of this level, well, the evolution that is going on this level has consequences for the other two levels of the model. Okay, then we have the manifestation of the hedonic and eudaimonic user needs on the qualitative level. So here, the user needs are manifested as qualitative goals. The difference to the abstract level is that these goals are often verbalized and users consider them as rational. What we found in our study is that the verbalization of needs is often connected with social exchange. So users share and discuss their goals with the social environment, and this is a source of motivation for them, and can also be a personal reference for fitness achievement. So from the qualitative goals, we come to the quantitative goals, the manifestation of the goals in the tracker. So we have this translation process from qualitative to quantitative goals. And here we have the most concrete level of our model. The goals are often expressed by numbers and can be input in the tracker. Again, ideally in the form that can be used in a tracker and that is meaningful for the fitness tracker user. Additionally, the model suggests that we have these two key contextual factors, trust and reflection. Trust can either mean trust in my fitness tracking device or trust in the goal. And the reflection process connects or reinforces, supports the translation between qualitative and quantitative goal. This is a little abstract, so I will give an example a bit later in the talk. Okay, so to summarize, we have this model, the tracker goal evolution model. It has 3 levels, hedonic and eudaimonic needs on the abstract side, qualitative goals. These are the manifestation of the hedonic and eudaimonic needs and can be translated to the quantitative goals on the concrete side of the model. And this translation process can additionally be supported by trust and reflection. Okay, how does that look like out there? I brought an example with me about Robert. So Robert wants to feel well. We can see that on the abstract side of the model. So he thinks, okay, maybe I should live a more active life, I should lose weight. So this is the manifestation of his thought that he wants to feel well. as qualitative goals. And then we have the translation process to a quantitative goal, for example, a 9 active hours goal per day or 12K steps per day. Additionally, I already mentioned the 2 contextual supporting factors, trust and reflection. So how would they look like in this example? When it comes to trust, I already said it can either be trust in his tracker. So he could, for example, know, okay, I understand how my smart scale works. I understand how this is represented in my fitness tracker. So I trust my devices. And the trust in the goal could show, okay, this really makes sense for me. I can connect the quantitative goal I'm aiming for with what I actually want to achieve, with being more active and losing weight. Additionally, we have reflection as a supporting process here that helps him to actually connect his progress with his qualitative goal he started with, so with his original goal, to reinforce this connection and make the interaction with the quantitative goal more meaningful. Okay, so how can this model aid the design of tracker goals in a future generation of trackers? We brought some takeaways with us. When it comes to qualitative goals, an explicit connection between quantitative and qualitative goals can be helpful. However, we suggest to engage with all the 3 levels of the model. So we start with the internalized user needs, but since these are highly internalized, it's a bit tricky to ask users about them. So we would suggest for now to start at the qualitative goal level. For example, the user could be asked what their goals are, and the tracker could propose meaningful quantitative goals for this qualitative goal. Yeah, transitions. So as I already mentioned in the example, these translations need to be accompanied by building trust. So explicitly translating between qualitative and quantitative goals is key for meaningful interactions with the tracker. So actually explaining, okay, why does this quantitative step goal make sense for what I want to achieve in the long run? And our findings show that this translation needs to be accompanied by trust. Trust in the tracker and trust in the goal. So trackers should provide info on how the progress towards a given goal is measured in a form that is actually understandable for the user. Furthermore, when it comes to a qualitative reference point, we would emphasize that the reflection process is key to support that. So the tracker could support the user to actually reflect on their qualitative progress and to reconnect this to his or her original qualitative goal. Also, being aware of these qualitative goals should or could enable designing systems that link these qualitative goals to the internalized user needs, which in turn could make the whole interaction process even more meaningful. Okay, to summarize, we looked into practices around tracker goals. We did semi-structured interviews, and based on our finding, an online survey. We derived the tracker goal evolution model from our data. The model has 3 different levels. It goes from abstract to concrete, so from user needs to qualitative to quantitative goals. And we have trust and reflection as key contextual factors. So the main takeaways are transitions between qualitative and quantitative goals should be supported. And to support meaningful engagement with the tracker, trust and reflection can be key in this process. I would like to thank all our study participants. I would also like to thank my collaborator, Paweı Wozniak, because it's always awesome to work with him. And thank you all for listening.
Now, Jasmin was extremely generous with us, so we have some time for questions. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Herman Saxona from Northeastern University. That was a very interesting model. I was wondering, you mentioned about connecting qualitative goal with quantitative goal, but you also mentioned the abstract needs for the user. I was wondering if future personal tracking tools should also engage the user with their abstract needs. Thanks.
Sorry, could you please repeat the last part of the question?
Oh, yeah. So I was wondering if future personal tracking tools should connect the should engage the user to think about their abstract needs as well.
Well, ideally, I would say yes, but we feel we are not there yet. So we thought about ways how this could be done, how this could be achieved, but we want to look more into that in future work. But yeah, generally, I would say that would make a lot of sense, because since these connection could foster even more engagement with the tracker experience, that would be one meaningful way to go.
Judy Kay, University of Sydney, Australia. I just wonder if a person has a goal like losing weight, and physical activity is what they're doing, and we know from the literature that they are not likely to succeed unless they also focus on diet. I can see this is a wonderful way to take a whole lot of data and thinking about goals, but I wonder if you have thought about connecting in goals the person hadn't thought of based on what we already know.
Yeah, well, actually, we thought about that, and we thought we have goals that are, as you already touched on, that are easier connected, qualitative goals that are easier connected to quantitative measures than other goals. And one idea could be to use the reflection process when the user is engaging with their tracker to make them themselves realize other goals that are not that closely connected to numeric values, to give them an even more meaningful experience that eventually shifts the focus from achieving their numbers, achieving what the tracker tells them, to, for example, feeling well. Yeah.
Hi, Killian Dudley, University of Bath. I was just wondering, did you find that any of the participants didn't trust in the data, and how did that affect? If the users didn't trust the data, so I know you're saying that the application should build trust, but did they not trust the data?
Yeah, we found that a lot, actually. That's why these are key supporting contextual factors. But we found if this isn't supported, the whole tracking experience changes, because the users started to ask themselves, okay, what is my tracker even measuring here? Does this make sense for me? Maybe I don't even feel better after I did this in the worst case scenario. So yeah, we found it quite often, and I think this is actually something to think about in more depth, and to explore how we can make these experiences, well, how we can shift it to a positive experience.